Hello everyone. Today I want to share with you a little bit, actually the whole story. No, it's a long story and I shortened it, but my deschooling journey basically. I want to encourage you guys to show you what it's like, what I went through, where I failed, where I succeeded, just all the things as an encouragement. Now I do have another video that tells you exactly what deschooling is, and I'm going to go ahead and stick those in the iCards here as well as the description box below. So to start my journey, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I was a public school student. I actually really loved high school. I also really loved college. And I really loved teaching public school. In fact, I am from a family of teachers. Now, I am a firm believer in deschooling. Now, deschooling, according to Wikipedia and the internet, just basically states that it's a transition period between public school to homeschooling, and that's it, just a transition. And it's very basic sounding, but I think it goes much more deeper, because I personally believe that every single person, whether or not they are pulling their kids out of public school or if they themselves were just a public school student, they need to deschool. And I also think deschooling comes in phases. Of course, there is the initial, hey, I am no longer involved with the public school system anymore. I am now homeschooling. That 6 month of the shock period, right? Let's just call it shock period, or year-long period of shockness, right? Because it can be a shock, to the phase of deschooling for the rest of your life, because we are always, a lot of us spent 12 years in the public school setting. We have a bunch of gunk that we need to ignore and change. I was a public school teacher for 10 years, and I resigned because I really just felt like it was laid upon my heart that I needed to homeschool my kids for many reasons. I can share that in another video, but I quit. And my kids were still young, actually, where they were not really considered elementary school kids or kindergarten, maybe preschool. We're pushing it. I think my oldest was 3 at the time, but I was so eager to jump into homeschooling. I didn't even think that I needed to deschool, because technically my kids weren't starting school until pre-K, okay? So I was learning everything I possibly could about curriculum and working with kids at a young age. In fact, I was almost re-educating myself with different curriculum as a school teacher. So when I started kindergarten with my son, I was pretty gung-ho. I was gung-ho, and we were just strictly doing school at home. I was a little bit in denial of all of that, but we were doing school at home. One exception was the schedule. Now, the one thing that burdened me so much about the public school system, and I'll just be honest, was the fact that I was being controlled by a schedule. I hated the fact that I only had an hour to work with kids on a certain subject, and I had to plan everything out, meet all the benchmarks, meet all the requirements within that 1 hour time frame, and it was so incredibly stressful. And so when I decided to homeschool, the one thing that I literally threw out the window with all grace and compassion, very passionately throwing it out the window, let me tell you, that was scheduling. Scheduling. No more planners, no more notebooks, no more any of that. That's the one thing I threw out the window. And I think too, when you're deschooling, it is healthy to throw things out the window that really burdened you about the public school system. However, even though it may be something that caused you a lot of angst and anxiety because you took it to an extreme, or were involved in extreme, doesn't mean that it's completely not good. Because scheduling is a good thing, or routine is a good thing. There's always that debate, schedule, routine versus kind of thing. That's a whole nother topic. But the point is that having something to keep you on track through the day is important. Hello, God put us on a schedule, right? We've got morning and night. The sun is like our clock, okay? Anyway, I threw out schedules when I first started homeschooling. That's what I did. But I didn't throw out a lot of my teaching methods, a lot of how I checked his progress, a lot of all the little details. And I was essentially doing traditional school at home, even though I thought I wasn't. I would say that I went through that initial 6-month period because, of course, when I resigned, my kid was 3. So I had probably, I don't know, he started preschool when he was 4 or 5. I had over 6 months of nothing, except being a mom. So I had that initial 6 months, and I did throw out my schedules, and I did study and learn all the things. But I was not at the end of my deschooling journey, because over a period of time, I continued, which I consider phase 2, right? Phase 2, after the 6-month period, phase 2 is that continuation of learning and reading and studying and talking to other moms, learning all you can about homeschooling and philosophies. And it's a lot, and it's overwhelming for a lot of people. Us former teachers are in heaven because, a lot of us, trust me, a lot of us get really excited to learn all the things because that's a passion of ours. But I was absorbing and learning and changing all at the same time. I was growing. Slowly but surely, I was realizing that certain things needed to be taught, certain things weren't needed to be taught based on my standards, not the benchmarks, not the public school system standards. One of the things I struggled tremendously was the Bible. I knew that I wanted to homeschool for biblical reasons, and I really struggled teaching the Bible at a young age, or even integrating it into school, because for so many years, the Bible and God and all of that was separate from education. So in my mind, even though I was looking for a biblical-based education, I really struggled. We would sit down, I would do the work. It would be from a secular curriculum. Sometimes it was Bible-based, but very watered-down Bible-based curriculum. I would do the curriculum. I would do my writing, reading, phonics, etc. And then I would do my math, and then I was exhausted, and Bible never happened. Because Bible was an elective in my mind that didn't need to be taught daily. But that was the reason I was homeschooling. Didn't quite make sense. Eventually it did. I realized that I needed to integrate Bible into every day. In fact, that became one of our focuses in our day. In fact, I've also learned that you, especially with the younger kids, like the elementary school kids, the for kindergarten, first graders, you can literally take the Bible and do school. All your reading, writing, rhetoric, all that stuff, you can do it. And math is give and take. I wish I did that. If I went back in time, that would be one of the things that I would have done with my kids, instead of buying a curriculum. But of course, as time progressed, there were little things like that I realized I could change to make it more of my schooling instead of the government schooling in my home. And then I learned there are certain things, for example, sciences. In public school, we don't focus on one single science or one single subject of science for elementary school kids. We do it all. I thought, hey, let's put it all together in one book, like a general science course for kids. But then I learned very quickly that's not very efficient for a lot of kids. And my kids wanted to soak in one particular topic. We did a season of just doing plants, where we learned about the plants, did a garden, all those things. That's science right there. You don't really need a book for that. I mean, we had a book to reference stuff, but yeah, we didn't really need a book on that. But I learned that, and it was really hard. It was like tearing something off of me. Like these chains, you can think of it, but it was like kind of glued on me, right? Because, we were in that mindset. It's hard. Now back to the scheduling. All right, scheduling is something that I despise. There was also other things too, but that was the big thing that was my biggest angst, is that schedule. I will say it took, honestly guys, it took me 10 years to get to the point where I could put my kids on a schedule. But when I did, I was detoxed from all of that poison that came from the public school. And what I mean by that was, I have an hour to teach my kids math. If they don't get it done in that hour, my life is over. I've failed. I didn't do my job. Or I have to switch gears immediately, even if we're in the middle of a teachable moment. Or I didn't hit all those benchmarks in those hours. Now tomorrow I got to double up. Okay. I'm also talking about like attendance too, like the 180 days thing, right? I didn't take 180 days. Sorry, 160 days. I could take the whole year if I wanted to. Okay. Either way, now we have our kids on a schedule. And because I'm not so about it and feeling like a failure when I don't meet those requirements, I can say, hey, you know what? Math time is over. And of course, this is all, a lot of it is corresponding to when they need to use the computer or iPad or piano or whatever they're using tool-wise. Math time is over. Now we need to switch gears and do grammar. And if you didn't finish your math, you can do it after everything's said and done. I can pull that on them. I can also, if we're in the middle of, let's say, a science lesson, and in my mind, I have planned that we're going to get done with lesson 3. However, we get stuck at the beginning of lesson 3 because my kids have so many questions. It's okay for me to do that. And so that's where I've come from before, when I used to be super stressed out if I didn't meet the benchmarks or I didn't meet the timing that I need, or it was like super schedule. That was huge. That's basically sums up my homeschool journey. But for you that's watching, obviously your homeschool deschooling journey is going to look totally different than mine. But do remember these things. Of course, if you need to throw something out that has been really burdensome for you from the public school system temporarily, so you can detox from the toxins of that, it's okay. Do it. Second thing is, don't ever think that you're done deschooling just because you went through that 6-month process. Because for me, I'm still considering myself deschooling, in all honesty. And I'm always pushing and pushing to really have my schooling more the way that God wants me to have it done. That's kind of my big goal. That's my story. I hope it was encouraging. Everybody's journey looks different, and so I would love for you guys to share with me your journey down in the description box below. Also, if you want to know more details of what deschooling is, I have a video right here that you can watch. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will hopefully see you guys again. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and thank you again. Bye.